Hey, it's Nyla. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome. In today's video, I am finally going to be doing the final reveal of my kitchen. Yay. So this project actually took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I think this is part 5 or maybe 6. I can't keep track and I can't remember. Anyway, there are some finishing touches that I do need to do. However, you know how when you're finished with a project, you're finished with a project. I've been working on this for so long and there's so many details. So there's so many details and it's so involved that I just wanted to get done as much as I could and get done as much as possible so that I could actually move on to other projects. Now there are a few things that I'm gonna come back to and like work on and like add just like nice finishing details. However, for the time being, everything is pretty much done. We're just gonna leave it at that. I'll walk you through some of the things that I do want to touch up and I do want to work on. Some of it's kind of obvious, obviously. I'll walk you through some of those things and you can see exactly what I did. So my initial design, which was the white upper cabinets and the gray lower cabinets, initially I was thinking of doing maybe like a navy for the lower cabinets. However, I wanted the kitchen to transition through all of the seasons, and I felt like white and gray are kind of like a staple. They're pretty neutral, so I figured that it could transition through multiple seasons. With navy being such a dark color, I kind of associate like navy and darker colors with the winter time, although I do have a black accent wall, which you can kind of see in the background over here. So I kind of do have like a dark accent wall, but it has like palms on it, so I don't know, balance. Anyway, so white and gray was a pretty neutral combination, and also it would allow me to change out different accessories and different colors, and I wouldn't have to stick to certain color palettes. I am extremely happy with the color palette. I love having the white and I love having the gray lower cabinet. The gray came out really nice. The material looks really nice even though it is contact paper. The white, I will say, it is very bright. Especially compared to the walls. Obviously the walls have like a natural yellowing over time. With the contact paper being very bright white, it is like a little bit of a contrast to the walls. However, I'm not mad at it. It kind of looks intentional. The contrast is actually okay with me. Some things I do foresee with the white happening. See how it holds up when I do actually start cooking. Like it could potentially start to yellow over time, and then another thing would be opening and closing the cabinet. Your fingertips have like natural oils and things like that, so that could also potentially pose a problem with it getting kind of like dirty from your hands, and also like little nicks and things like that, which would be potentially an issue with the paper in general. So I'll see how that holds up over time. I also want to watch out for things like peeling when I do start cooking. If things do start to peel, that's also something that I'll be like thinking about. I think I talked about in another video the corners. I swear I don't even remember if I filmed myself doing any of the corners. I probably did every single corner differently, like how I did the corners for the cabinet doors. I don't know. They're just there. They are what they are, and they're not always perfect. So that's another thing that I am looking out for is the corners, and they're not perfect. Some other things that are not perfect are the way that I actually lined the cabinet, like the inset of the doors. That's not perfect. As far as the seams, I kind of tried to stick with the natural seams that already existed on the door frames themselves. So that did involve cutting a lot of strips, which didn't take as much time as I thought it would. What took the majority of the time was covering the doors themselves. So the countertops were fairly simple and easy to do. I was kind of avoiding the awkward corner because when they did the original template for the countertops, it looks like they kind of just made like a diagonal line. What I ended up doing is I just kind of did like straight lines there. I actually really love the pattern that I chose. The reason I chose this pattern was, one, I love marble. Two, While it is very busy, everything else is pretty much very simple and clean. So I was okay with having a busier pattern. The idea behind having that busy pattern was to essentially hide any seams or mistakes that I made. There are like a couple like bubbles and things like that in places where the paper creased, and you honestly cannot tell. Okay, like I was saying, the counters. So the counters were pretty simple, and like I said, with the pattern that I chose, it was pretty easy to hide the seams, any type of mistakes that I made, any type of air bubbles, lines, creases, things like that. I am really happy with the paper. It was thinner than the actual paper for the counter drawers. I mean, for the cabinet doors. And then also the material was actually pretty easy to work with. I was able to like peel and re-stick. I'll see how that works out with the glue, if it starts to peel or like come off. Again, once things like I start cooking, it gets humid, there's moisture in the air, I'll see how everything holds up. So the backsplash. So the backsplash, it's kind of like a peel and stick, and it is really strong. Working with the gloves at first, it was kind of sticking to the gloves, and eventually I didn't really see the point of the gloves. They were just kind of messing things up. So the backsplash is actually not finished. I ran out of the tiles, and I ordered one more tile so I could kind of just like fill in and make an even line where I do have the tiles. But that's something that is one of the things that I'll be like finishing up and touching up and working on and cleaning up. Like I'll get back to that and keep adding the backsplash tiles. At one point when I was working with the outlet, so there's two outlets in the backsplash. The first outlet I ended up trying to like cut the tiles out, and then I put the outlet over top of it, but that was like a tougher method, and I ended up slicing my nail, which was my only injury this whole project, working with the utility knife. That left a little wound in my heart. I'll come back to the backsplash. I'm happy with the way that it looks so far, and then, you know, I'll just keep working on that. I'll keep chipping away at it and keep adding tiles as I feel like it. Like I was saying, I kind of ran into some issues with the outlets. So the one outlet I did, it was like kind of difficult to like cut out and cut around it. The other outlet I did a little bit differently. I pasted one sheet on the wall, and then I ended up just taking off individual tiles of the honeycomb pattern and putting those up individually to kind of go around the outlet, and then pieces that I needed to cut, I would just score those and like snap them off. And that proved to be a much better method than my original method of trying to cut like a square in the tiles, especially with the way that the tiles are. I'm pretty happy with the overall quality of the tiles. They have like a very hefty feel to them. They have the look of real marble tiles, but they kind of have the feel of ceramic tiles. But the convenience of peel and stick renter friendly tiles, which is what they are. So I'm really happy with the backsplash. The quality, the application was not so bad either. And if you have the patience to actually go through and like put some of the tiles up one by one in places where it's necessary, like around the outlets, then it shouldn't be an issue. The tiles that I ordered do come with spacers. I kind of used them, which, you know, they worked, and then I just ended up freehanding it like I typically freehand things because it was just a little bit easier for me. So there are some other details that I do want to work on in the kitchen. Definitely want to do the pantry and organize that. I need to get to the refrigerator and organize that. But next up on my list of projects, spring is coming. I'm gonna do spring transitions and transition to spring, in which I transition my whole apartment. I still have to think of some ways that I want to add some nice light bright spring touches to the kitchen. So we do have building inspections coming up. I guess the borough, or, you know, the building inspections, I don't know, they have to have inspections. We do have those coming up. I sincerely hope that they do not tell us that this whole thing has to be taken down, it's a fire hazard, etc, etc. I don't know. So that's actually happening this week. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'll keep, you know, whoever's out there listening, interested, updated, I'll keep you updated. Yeah, and see what happens with that. We have inspections once a year, and for some reason I was like, hey, I really want to transform this kitchen. Now's the time to do it. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. That's my logic and reasoning behind it. It was a very long, grueling process working on this kitchen, mainly because it's difficult to focus on one project when you have so much other things going on. Like I was doing that in between taking care of the baby and working and just life in general. Mentally, it definitely was taxing. Physically, I also tried to just allow myself grace and try not to push myself too hard as I typically would push myself to try to finish up a project. That's why it took me so long. But in the long run, like I said, whatever happens, happens. If it just so happens that I have to peel everything off again, I'll have a breakdown first, and then I'll do it, and then I'll move on, and that'll be that, right? Yeah. That'll be that, because I do love the end result. I love the way that it looks. I love the product. I still think it's beautiful. I did do it, and eventually it would have had to come down anyway. I'm already talking myself. And I don't even know if they're going to say, oh, take it down. I don't even know. I'm just hyping myself up for that. Anyway, so I'm just rambling now. I'm just going on and on. So that is going to be a wrap for this video, for this project for now. If you like this video, I almost forgot to say, if you like this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up. And if you like me, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. And I'll see you next time. Bye.